So chapter 19 is going to defeat the confusion of how we see these fallen sons of God being represented as lions also. But notice it's always in representation to murderous, ravenous, predatory lions. It's not these lions that are supposed to lay down with the lambs. These are the lions that seek to destroy. And we can see where they get their influence. This is the most ancient of times. This is the influence of this queen of heaven. We've already shown the examples as they've led up to this part so far. So this is where we get the full understanding here. It says that she laid down among lions. Now you need to understand what Job 38 is saying. Job 38 verse 7 is describing the most ancient of times before the rebellion, when all of the sons of God were shouting together for joy. Now this is where we see that early influence. Now she is beginning to creep into the scene. Her influence is amongst all of the young lions. That would be the sons of God. Now we find out the influence overtakes some of them, okay, amongst other things, and they're influenced. And now she seeks to take her troop from amongst these young lions. Now we're talking the sons of God of Genesis 6. Obviously, this has succeeded, and now the fallen ones are beginning to do the bidding of this occult influence, as it's ultimately influenced by the proclamation of Lucifer. So we see that her plan is now to nourish her troops, her whelps, her fallen sons of God among the other young lions, in a sense to hide them. And then that's where we see in the Old Testament where her lions are amongst the other lions and nobody is able to understand. So she brought up one of her young whelps, one of her young lions, out of this group of fallen sons of God to become the young lion. And this is where she seeks to now destroy, okay, this influence of the Queen of Heaven. Now, of course, this is in representation of their duality, where they have divided the nature of God into both a male and a female, a black and a white. And we know that that's not what God wanted in the Garden of Eden. He didn't want a division of the knowledge. They create the first separation. The Father seeks to maintain harmony and unity, and He is the full representation of that harmony of all good things through Him. This is where they seek to separate that and create that fractal delusion, the confusion, and mirror things to where symbolically you're unable to tell who in the world they're talking about. Well, Ezekiel 19, armed with the other passages that I've shown you thus far, will give you that information. So let's, at this point, now let's just look at a definition of the Queen of Heaven. Okay, listen very closely, and then you're going to see where the overlay of what I told you is going to come to fruition. A goddess woman in Judah worshipped to ensure fertility and material stability. Forms of worship included making cakes, offering drink offerings, and burning incense. Exactly which goddess was worshipped is not certain. The words could be translated stars of heaven or heavenly host. However, Queen of Heaven appears to be the best rendering. The major influence could have been Ishtar, the Mesopotamian goddess, called there the Queen of Heaven, imported to Israel by Manasseh, or the Canaanite Ishtar. Archaeologists have covered many images of the nude goddess from Israelite sites, showing why Jeremiah protested against such worship. So there's our connection with Ishtar. Now I want you to see that now we're going to show the connection with Lilith, okay, as being the same representation of the same deity here. But before we do that, I want to show you what this meaning comes down to for us now. Because why? Notice that we're calling her the Queen of Heaven, or the Bible is, but you can see that it can be translated as the stars of heaven. So she's not the Queen of Heaven of the light heaven. She's the Queen of Heaven of the night heaven, the nightmare heaven, the darkness. You can only see the stars of heaven at the dark time. That's what they're telling you, that she's the shadow queen of the darkness of heaven. I'll be back.